Twitch right now. Yep.
Woo!
Yep. We are live on the Cobbs Corner Twitch account. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm your host, Morgan Cobbs. I'm joined today with a very special partner of the show, Lee, from the Lights Camera Rant podcast. Lee, thank you so much for joining us from down under.
You're most welcome, man. Thank you for having me on the show. It was great to do the flip this time.
Yep. We did the flip. I was on your podcast. Now you've come on to Cobbs Corner. Welcome to Cobbs Corner. Hope you enjoy your stay here.
Looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Very roomy.
Work in progress. See the whiteboard behind me. I'm in the study room. This is a study room in my college dorm. So yeah.
I was gonna say, I think it's where you recorded last time, wasn't it?
This is exactly where I recorded last time. It's where I record all my episodes from now on.
That's right.
Die-hard Cobbs Corner fans, Cobbs Corner listeners will know that this study room is my official recording studio.
This is it.
This is it. Yes, is it. But yeah, we are live now on Twitch. Feel free to comment any questions, comments, concerns in the chat. Before we go further, I'd like to first address one. This episode will contain spoilers for Shazam: Fury of the Gods. Will contain spoilers for Shazam: Fury of the Gods, and I would be remiss if I did not address the passing of a titan in Hollywood who Lance Reddick, RIP to Lance Reddick, the recent passing just a week before John Wick Chapter 4. We here at Cobbs Corner, our thoughts and prayers are with the actor's family and
his pets.
May he rest in power.
I was so surprised. Terrible thing. I was very surprised that he passed away, and I thought it's terrible because it's the first thing I thought of. I was like, shit, just a week before the premiere, just a week before the drop of John Wick 4, and I didn't realize until when people post online all of their acting credits.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that he was in Destiny, and he was also the guy in Rick and Morty as well. And I know he's also in Paradise PD.
Right, Paradise PD. I saw he was on The Wire as well, which is a show I have not checked out at all. Please, to my fellow blurs, please do not if two black nerds, if that podcast is listening, please do not cancel me. Okay, I have not checked out The Wire or Snowfall or Empire Power. Okay, please don't unsubscribe. It's a shirt I'm wearing today, but like
your list keeps getting longer in our community. Every time you talk to someone else, they tell you something you need to go watch, and you're just like,
right.
Well, I got a long time before I can get through any of this.
Yeah, I got a long time before I'm going to get through any of this. I guess with Lee, I guess two things. One, you got an amazing last name. I realized that your last name is Morgan. Yep. Why were you not my first guess? Okay, it's like I shouldn't have given my word to Khalil early. Sorry, Khalil, if you're listening. Again, anybody who listens to Comic Boys, please don't cancel me. I'm going to say that a lot tonight. Okay, I'm going to cover all the bases. But yeah, Lee, you just got an amazing last name. So yeah, and I wanted to.
Honestly, so you have an amazing first name.
Yeah. Captain Morgan. I mean,
exactly right. And that's a good drink too.
JP Morgan, Chase, Morgan & Morgan Insurance. I don't know if you guys have that in Australia. Morgan Carpet Cleaning. Morgan Stanley.
No.
Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, that's true.
So many Morgans. Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Negan.
Yes.
John Winchester. For the one season of Supernatural that I watched. Yes. Well, I did want to, before we get into Shazam, I did want to just turn the floor over to you, Lee. And I want to know, what is your podcast origin story? Like, what made you want to start a podcast? What got you into like podcasting? And I'm just gonna let you kind of have at it.
Yeah, sure. For me, it was I very, very long time ago. I thought about starting a YouTube channel, and it never got off the ground because I was like, no one's going to want to listen to me. No one's going to want to hear what I have to say, and it kind of became a dead dream. And then during lovely COVID, I thought, well, I can't leave my house. I can't do anything. All I could do is drink and watch movies. And I thought, well, I have no other excuse now. And I thought I'd finally pull the trigger. So I started the podcast. And uh, and a lot of talking to a lot of friends, it was, every time we go see a superhero movie, we'd always chat straight after the movies and would always rant about it after. Like even our girlfriends would drive in separate cars because they want to leave straight after the movie because me and my mates would still be talking. And I thought I was talking to them and I was like, just like, do it, man. What have you got to lose? You literally just put a mic in front of you and then just rant about what you want. And people might come, people not come. Every time I do an episode, I still do it for that one listen that's been since day one.
Sure.
And from there, like it's from going just from that episode 1 to now to the entire community that you're part of as well. It's been a fantastic journey, and I just wish I did it sooner. To the point now that I go live just like this, like with you, and I'm using a video camera and all this set up, and everyone I've met along the way, it's been fantastic. Like I said, our little community with Khalil and Nerd Dose, Star Wars, Earth 894.
Two sides of the story.
Two sides of the story.
Sides of the story, yeah.
Can't forget Tom.
Yeah.
He if I let him, he still wants to break his record on my podcast.
I saw that.
Me and him currently have the longest episode I've ever recorded, and that was 2 hours, I think 30 or 20 minutes. And he still wants to break that even further to the point where we've kind of done a swap. He's never seen Stargate, so he's watching Stargate all the way through. I haven't seen Star Trek Next Gen, and I need to watch all that through. So once we both finish, we're going to go on another episode together and chat all about that, because I just appeared on their show about 3 weeks ago. And you need to jump onto their podcast, man. They
two sides of the story for
two sides of the story. They're a great bunch of guys. Highly recommend. But it's been so many podcasts that have started during COVID. There was such a big boom, obviously, because you couldn't do anything else, and you could go on Amazon and buy a $20 mic. But it's been an amazing journey, and every step of the way has led to me right here with you.
Absolutely.
Two sides of the world.
Right. two whole different sides of the world. I guess your comic book origin story is kind of similar to mine. Guys, if you want to know my
please
comic book, if you guys want to know my comic book origin story, podcast origin story, go check out
Orphan,
I want to say
Radioactive.
Yeah. I want to say it was episode 90 that I did of Backlook Cinema, the podcast. I go into it in greater detail. I did that back in October of last year. So, I mean, that podcast is out there in the world.
Look how far you've come, man. I think when you jumped on my show, I think you only had we had 10 episodes or something out. Oh, a few episodes out then. Now look how far you are now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've only been at this, about 10 months now. It'll actually be exactly 1 year that I've officially had my podcast. Not 1 year since my first upload, but 1 year since I've officially signed up for what was Anchor at the time, what is now Spotify for for podcasters. I think I signed up. I want to say it was May 6th because I think I remember signing up for Anchor, and then I saw Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness later that same night. And this year, May 6th is the day that I graduate from university. So,
well, there you go. It's and And I was just thinking, that's right. Yeah, Anchor's all changed now, which
Yeah.
unfortunately, I watched. I was like, oh, that's really cool. And I was like, oh, I have to change my merch because my merch has the Anchor logo on it.
Oh, it's got the Anchor logo. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was just like little white icons to show you who which platform we're on. So now I have to change it all, which I have. Have to change it all because of Anchor. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, Anchor by Spotify for podcasters. I, on the other hand, haven't even started doing merch. I mean, you put me onto Adobe Express. I've been using that for my episode promotions now. I don't know if you saw my Instagram post and also the title cards for my episodes are now all I use Adobe Express. So thank you. Yeah, it's super easy. Yeah, I recently did audio commentary, which was actually an idea that Khalil gave me. I did audio commentary for, I think, Shazam Theory of the or Shazam.
Yeah, I saw you posted that.
Getting ahead of myself. I want to say that was my longest episode. I think it was over 2 hours. And then Black Adam. I did audio commentary for Black Adam. And I think I recorded that one at like 11 o'clock at night. I think if you listen to like the first like 30 minutes, you can hear me like drinking the Rockstar between takes. Like, it's like I had like, yep, I'm just, just like half of it just.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about this. Oh, that's right. I just real quick, I just double check. Yeah, so you it was episode. So currently right now I'm up to episode 94. You came on episode 76. And funny enough, we actually talked about the rumor that there was going to be a AAA John Wick game, and John Wick 4 is only a week away now. That's so creepy.
It's only a week away. Shoot. Yeah. I got to do probably this week. Well, no, this episode is going to air on all streaming platforms Friday. So Friday the 24th. Yep. So yeah, this episode, yeah. Yeah. So by the time that this episode's out, John Wick 4 will already be out. I will hopefully be able to do audio commentary for 1, 2, and 3 before then. Hopefully, like for anyone who's listening to this episode after it's already aired, like hopefully coming soon. It's like hopefully you can go back and listen to my audio commentary for John Wick 1, 2, and 3 ahead of John Wick 4, which is.
IGN gave it a perfect 10. Every one of these early screenings have been. It is better than the first one, and that's a big stretch because that first one is so good. Yet people are saying the fact that it's better than the first one, even on IMDb.
Oh, even IMDb. Wow.
Its rating is higher than all of them.
Cool.
So looks like we're in for one wild ride.
Well, yeah, because I mean, the first one had me hooked. First one was amazing. The second one kind of fell flat here and there, and then the third one, I feel like literally picks up right where the second one ends, and the third one is just like nonstop. It's like every 5 minutes there's like another plot twist. It's like just nonstop action. For chapter 3, Parabellum, chapter 4. I mean, I'm just wondering because I realized that like Keanu Reeves, and literally as I was watching the trailer for John Wick chapter 4 when I saw Fury of the Gods earlier, I was thinking to myself like this man is one of the greatest action stars of the 21st century, if not the greatest because of his age. Like he's like 57 years old, and like he doesn't look it though. He hasn't aged at all since like Matrix Revolutions, his body has taken the last 20 years off.
Just like Paul Rudd.
What?
Like Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd hasn't aged.
Paul Rudd's aged backwards.
Yeah.
Paul Rudd. He looks exactly like he did in 40-Year-Old Virgin for some reason.
That's a great movie.
Oh, great movie. I'm totally doing audio commentary for that. I'm totally gonna get flagged on YouTube. Like, please, like, okay.
Oh,
There's,
I know.
there's like one scene that's gonna offend literally
But
everyone. Um,
oh, always. Yeah, it's funny actually. I didn't see John Wick. I didn't see John Wick first one until after the second one came out. Because I was talking to a mate one day, and I don't know how we got. We're talking about John Wick, and I was like, "Oh, I haven't seen it." And he's like, "What?" I was like, "No, I haven't seen it." He's like, "Stuff what we're doing, man. We're gonna sit down. We're gonna watch this." So I was like, okay, I'll watch it with you." He's like, "I can't believe you haven't seen it." I was like, all right, all right. Sat down, watched it, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is awesome!" And then I watched second one, a third one, and even my mum comes with me to go see these John Wick movies. She's coming with me,
right, you were telling me.
yeah, to go see John Wick 4.
Right.
Because she's a fan of Keanu Reeves, who actually I think a little while ago I actually went back and watched Speed.
Speed. I still haven't seen Speed. I watched Point Break. You told me to watch Point Break. I watched Point Break. I loved it.
Yeah, what'd you think of it? How?
Oh, 10 out of 10. You're absolutely right. It's a typical 90s movie. R.I.P. to Swayze. But yeah,
but
it had Keanu Reeves. It's just, yeah.
Adrenaline junkies, high surfers for some reason. Like
surfing.
it's
now I want to go surfing now.
I know.
Now I want to go surfing.
I remember I first watched it, I'm like, this is really good, but it's so 90s.
It's definitely 90s. Like apparently there was a Point Break remake in like 2015. It was. I don't remember what movie I was watching, but I was watching like some movie. I think I was watching the first Creed movie on DVD, and I think one of the previews was Point Break, and well, because like they didn't say the title till the very end. I'm thinking like, why does this look and sound exactly like Point Break? Is this a remake? Why? No, why? It's like,
which I don't think it did very well.
I'm just now hearing about this. Like,
yeah, I think it did very well either.
Oh, the remake.
The remake.
Oh,
yeah,
no,
the remake. Terrible. God, man, previews on a DVD. Shit.
Yes, I have the DVD player. Yes, and at some point, I know you're not a fan of the franchise I'm about to tell you about, but I know I can see you covering your eyes. All right, don't make me kick you off the stream, Lee. Okay, we're getting along so well.
Yeah,
but I do plan on doing, if not reviews, then at least audio commentary for all 9 Fast and Furious movies, which I have on DVD. DVD, not Blu-ray. DVD. Because I have a DVD player. And apparently for the first one, I was watching the very first one on DVD. It came out in a good year, 2001. Year I was born.
Of course. The first one's good. I have nothing. I think the first one is good. It just makes me feel old when you realize what they're stealing, and you're like,
True.
The thick TVs with VHS players in them.
VHS. Yeah. Apparently on the DVD release, there was a PSA from Paul Walker, God rest his soul. It was a PSA reminding the viewers that all of the stunts are performed by professionals and do not try any of this at home. I feel, because the thing is, a lot of those stunts you could actually like do if you tried. Like you could actually like replicate a lot of the stunts that they were pulling in like the early movies. Like
I was saying in the early movies, not now.
Yeah. I mean, like the early movies, like when they actually like obeyed the laws of physics. But then I think being
on this planet.
Yeah, or like being on this planet, right. Now, being that I have a background in mechanical engineering and I understand like a lot of the physics, like I'm able to make that separation between what's a movie and what's real life. But I think maybe about Fast and Furious 6 is when they really started to noticeably push the boundaries of the Fast and Furious universe. That's when they really started to just take the physics and just like throw them out the window. So I feel like, I wonder, like, maybe do we need that PSA more today than we did back then?
Yeah, true.
Like, do we need to be reminded that it's a movie and that none of this is
real?
None of this is
There is
real.
no,
Like none of this is
there is no
factual.
family. There's no family going around in cars that can do all this.
No, there aren't. But one of the criticisms that I heard the very first Fast and Furious got was that it was a street racing version of Point Break, essentially. Yeah, that was one of its original criticisms. It was too similar to Point Break.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah,
Yeah.
very close. Because it's still the same thing. You've got a cop infiltrating a crew that do heists and they do extreme events. Like, I've never thought of it like that. But you're right.
And he still like pretty much abandons his post at the end of the movie.
Yeah,
sort of
and
like
kind of joins them.
Yeah, joins them but doesn't join them. Yeah,
yeah.
But
I've seen 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that's where I dropped off.
Oh.
I dropped off after 4, which I had someone say to me, he's like, "Oh, what?" He's like, "Why'd you drop off to 4? You know, 5 is where it starts getting really good, and that's when The Rock comes into it and everything."
Yeah,
and
I mean, I think that it's a franchise. Now, I'm a diehard fan of the franchise. I'm glad it's ending. I'm glad that they have a set end in sight. I think. Yeah. I mean, I like the way that with Fast 5, like the whole point, and I was even watching a video on YouTube called, I think, like It Was a Shit Show, or like making the Fast and Furious movies like It Was a Shit Show. It's a movie from, I think, 2019, so it only chronicles 1 through 8. They said how like the plan after the first movie was to grow and expand the Fast and Furious universe and add to like the different mythologies of add to the mythology of this franchise. Like that's why Too Fast, Too Furious got its tangential sequel. Like, I mean, it focuses on focuses on Brian O'Connor, and then they brought in Tyrese, Roman Pierce as kind of the surrogate replacement for Dom after, Vin Diesel like refused to show up for the sequel because he thought that it would undermine the first one's potential to become a classic. And then he went and did Chronicles of Riddick, which so that was a tangential sequel, Too Fast, Too Furious, and I'm not gonna get too sidetracked. And even like Tokyo Drift was. Sorry, what?
I was saying, like Tokyo Drift, he was on a cameo at the end, and then it's almost like 1 to 4. Like, it's not like, if you're trying to watch it, it's almost like everyone you liked in the first one, if you liked all of them, go to number 4.
Right. But the thing is, like with the fourth one, the idea was like, okay, now that we've added to this mythology, we've added like to the mythology of this franchise, it all has to come together at some point. So really with the fourth movie, Fast and Furious, which was the soft reboot of the franchise, like that's the first time that we see Brian and Dom together again after the first Fast and Furious movie. So we're bringing the entire crew together again for Fast and Furious, and then the end of Fast and Furious is the beginning of Fast 5, and then like I think Fast 5 was the transition film from like street racing, because it's a heist movie. It's like they transition from like street racing to more high stakes Mission Impossible type missions.
Pretty much.
So yeah, I mean the franchise, it's not at all what it used to be. My personal favorite Fast and Furious movie, if I had to choose, I liked Fast and Furious 6, and I also liked I liked the Hobbs and Shaw spinoff film, and I think Hobbs and Shaw 2 is getting a sequel. One thing I will say about go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say I'm pretty sure that's being held up by The Rock. I think it's up to The Rock whether or not they're going to make Hobbs and Shaw, because I think the man's a little bit sour after Black Adam. He's a little sour.
Oh, okay. I also heard a rumor that he might show up in Fast X Part 2. Maybe. Who knows?
Fast 10 Part 2?
Yeah, Fast 10 Part 2. They should have called it Fasten Your Seatbelts or something like that.
I know. And the logo for it just looks like an X-Men movie. Like just the way the first logo, I'm like, oh, good. I didn't know that a new X-Men movie was coming out.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, the one thing that I will say about the Hobbs and Shaw, the first one, I liked it. I have it on DVD, and I had Ryan Reynolds and The Rock. I felt like we were getting a trailer for Red Notice or something like that. But I think that Jason Statham is one of those actors who just ends up getting typecast. Him along with The Rock, especially with Jason Statham, all of his roles are pretty much the same. Like even before the Fast and Furious franchise, okay, like the Transporter series, and then he came into the Fast Saga,
Expendables.
and the Expendables, which I think Expendables 4 is coming soon.
Yes.
He was in some movie. Wrath of Man. Was he in The Gentleman as well? I think
It could have been. He's also in another movie called Crank.
Crank.
If you get done, watch this movie. It is such a weird movie, especially the second one.
Crank.
So
I feel like I know what movie you're talking about. I think.
Yeah.
Is the second one where he like becomes giant and like starts fighting like a demon or something like that? Or
No. So the Crank 2, he gets his heart replaced, but he needs energy to keep his heart going. So he has to like friction and rub up on things for it to work. And then, like in one of the opening scenes, he tracks down this guy, and he basically finds a shotgun, puts it in oil, and then the guy's trying to crawl away, so he just goes up his clacker.
oh wow,
That's like the first 10 minutes of the movie.
And that's just the first 10 minutes. Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right. Well,
so it's a weird Jason Statham movie, but it's good. But you're right. He does get typecast. But then again, at the same time, we don't know if he gets typecast or he just really enjoys those roles.
Right. I was going to say. I mean, he could really enjoy those roles, but I also think that like when you think about actors, like, I mean, again, this is just my opinion, but I personally feel that actors like Leonardo DiCaprio, Denzel Washington, and last year's controversy aside, Will Smith have like the widest range. Okay, like out of like any other actors in my lifetime, anyway. I mean,
yeah,
like
Chris Rock felt Will Smith's widest range too.
Oh my goodness! Walk right into that one. Again, I said last year's controversy aside.
Yeah.
Right? Shoot.
No, but yeah, they do, and they all, especially Leonardo DiCaprio, like his filmography is always incredible. So is Denzel Washington, which the last thing I can remember Denzel Washington being in is The Equalizer. Recently, and then Will Smith. I don't know what he's going to go into moving forward. That's not going to have backlash.
Right. I mean, I think that he's got a questionable-ish future, but I definitely think like I don't think this is the end for him. Like I definitely think it's not the end, but he's also older now. I think he's like in his 50s now. He's got a past, but if you just look at his past, like he has done biopics. He's played for him to go from Hitch in 2005 to then Pursuit of Happiness the following year, and for him to do, and then I Am Legend in 2007, and then 2008.
They're making I Am Legend 2.
I heard about that. Yep.
With Michael B. Jordan and Will Smith.
Yep, and it's going to accept the alternate ending.
Yeah, where he lives.
Yeah, where he lives. Yeah, but for him to do like Hancock and 7 Pounds in the same year, for him to do like kind of a goofy, superhero film, and then like probably one of his most emotional, most dramatic performances. Both those movies came out in 2008, and on top of that, King Richard, Concussion. He's had. I mean, he's not the 27 Yankees, but he's got some hitters. He got more hits than misses. I would say.
Oh, yeah, 100%. But 100%. But I probably would say now. If I was him, I would probably make not big blockbuster pictures. I'd probably keep my movie choices for just a little bit, or just a little bit lower, just like those more smaller movies. I probably would make them a couple of them before I decide to go back into the full limelight.
Sure.
Again, because I did make a public display. Because anyway. Which the other
Yeah,
the other reason, another controversy did obviously happen last year, but as we know, Chris Rock just dagged that up.
Oh yeah,
just recently,
live too. It was live on Netflix. I wish I watched it live. I didn't. I watched it. I watched the repeat of it, but
you could feel his there was a lot of baggage coming
like,
off of that when he
raised by because I was raised because I had a mother and father. They told me not to fight in front of
yeah.
Not gonna repeat what he said, but
No, especially
check
where
that
he's
out
like
on Netflix to all my listeners.
Yes. Especially when he was like, "Oh, I watched Will Smith's movie, a particular movie where he kept getting hit." It was like, yeah,
yes, and he still got the last laugh. But
did.
then also, now I haven't seen Bad Boys for Life. I still have not seen it. I heard it was good. I heard it was good.
I heard it was good. I didn't watch it. I think I've seen the first Bad Boys. Apparently, they're going to be making Bad Boys.
Right,
5.
Bad Boys 4. Bad Boys 4.
No, they
fourth one.
Oh, sorry, fourth one. So they're gonna make it Bad Boys 4. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't watch it. I feel like they're almost at their age where they're getting a little bit too old. But then you look at Tom Cruise, and you're like,
okay, well, let's go see Tom Cruise. All right.
Yeah, age is not really a factor for you. But even like Tom Cruise, you look at everything he's done lately compared to when he first started, and you're like,
he's been jumping out of planes since before I was born. So
he was. That's true. That's so true.
I've only actually sat through the very first Mission Impossible. It's the only one that I've actually sat through from beginning.
Yeah, I've only seen the first one. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
I'm good. I own Rogue Nation on Blu-ray.
Which one?
Rogue Nation. I own that one on Blu-ray. I maybe sat through like all but the last 45 minutes of that one. I've seen the majority of Ghost Protocol, but I didn't really understand it because I hadn't seen any of the others at the time. Yeah. But in preparation for Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, I'd have to actually force myself to sit through all 7.
Yeah, you're on your own on that. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I was trying to watch all the James Bond films as well, but there's like 25 of those motherfuckers.
Yeah.
So
that's
the only one I sat through. Yeah.
Yeah, that's almost like going through the MCU.
Pretty much. Literally.
There's so many James Bonds. But anytime I think myself to go watch a James Bond movie, the first one I always crack on is Casino Royale.
Only one I've seen from beginning to end.
Yeah, that's always I
think I own it on DVD now that I think about it.
I think Skyfall. Quantum of Solace is a bit.
Yeah, I hear Quantum of Solace. Like, I think when it was on Netflix, I attempted to watch it and I like fell asleep in like the second act. I've heard that it's I don't know if Daniel Craig explicitly stated that it was his worst James Bond film, but I think critics alike have said that Quantum of Solace is the worst James Bond film strictly from the Daniel Craig era. So just Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, Skyfall, Spectre, No Time to Die.
Yeah,
Quantum of Solace is that one. It's like, that one with the theme song.
Yeah, however, it's the most direct sequel to the first one. Like, it literally picks up for like 5 minutes after the first one.
Oh yeah, it does. Yeah.
So you watch it, but Skyfall, Spectre, No Time to Die. They're all bangers. Actually, is it Spectre? I think it's that one, has the biggest recorded explosion on film.
Wow.
You know how the bird watched that whole facility blow up?
Again, I haven't seen the movie. So.
Sorry. Sorry. There is a scene in that, and they're standing in front of it. It's this giant facility, and it's almost like kind of like in a dome area. And it's the biggest explosion recorded on film, which most likely will be beaten by Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer.
Of course, records are made to be broken. Definitely looking forward to Oppenheimer. I personally think that now I hear that Aaron Taylor Johnson has been tapped to play the next James Bond. Sorry, Idris Elba. But I personally think my money was on either Aaron Taylor Johnson or Henry Cavill. I think as early as like 2019, I saw like teasers for like Henry, and I think that Henry Cavill, he would have killed it as James Bond. But I also don't have a problem with them picking Aaron Taylor Johnson, especially after seeing Bullet Train. Like
No, I
he can
haven't
do it
seen
too.
Bullet.
Yeah.
I
Haven't
haven't
seen
seen
Bullet.
Bullet Train.
What?
No,
Haven't seen Bullet
no,
Train. Wow.
no. I think Henry Cavill would have been. Yeah. I know. I think Henry Cavill would have been good at Man of Steel age. Man of Steel age, he would have been good, but yeah, not now. Not with the fact that how he's gonna be all tied up with I think it's Amazon that's doing it.
Oh.
Warhammer TV show.
Warhammer? Oh, okay. I see.
You know the
Yeah,
game Warhammer?
no.
So the little figurines. It's I don't want to offend any fan base, but like how Dungeons and Dragons work.
Yeah, I'm actually seeing. I've played Dungeons and Dragons probably once.
Yeah, it's. I wish I could play it more often, but it's just such a long game. Like there's no quick version of it. Anyway, it's kind of on the same vein as that. And he's a really big nerd, and he's really excited to do this. So that's what he's left because he got fired from DC and he left the Netflix show. This is what he's doing next.
Okay. All right. Right. Because I was going to say, I know. Gosh, when was it? Was it June or was it last year, summer or fall, when he had announced that he was coming back to DC?
Yeah.
And I think was it you who had that post on Instagram? It was like, we won, but at what cost? It's like, okay, Henry Cavill's back as Superman, but then he's also stepped down from The Witcher, and we're gonna have Liam Hemsworth. I still haven't finished the second season of The Witcher. Sorry to you, Witcher fans.
I've only watched the first 2 episodes. That's nothing. I need to go back.
It's
watch
slow.
It now.
It slows down, and it picks up and slows down here and there. It's one of those shows I have to force myself to sit. I have to actually commit to watching it. Ending in the first season is worth it though. It's one of those shows. It gets worse. It gets worse before it gets better.
That's how it always does.
Pretty much. But yeah, it's we're still getting Liam Hemsworth for season 3.
Yes, Liam Hemsworth will still be there. But yeah, not Henry Cavill. Which look, we could get more into that when we talk about Shazam. But there is probably a lot of things that if there was more creative control and more streamlined, there's probably a little bit of a Shazam that we both know. I think we both know could have been different if everything lined up properly and there wasn't so much politics.
Of course. I mean, we could actually get into that now. I know it'd be 38 minutes. We haven't even talked about what's in the title.
Don't man. Have you know the third word in my
Yep.
name?
I know.
Yeah.
Rant. Yep. You knew the assignment. Yep.
Yeah. I knew when I showed up. So
got my merch coming soon. Who knows?
Oh, good man. I will be. I've got Earth 894. I've got Stark Wars. I am bugging Nerd Dose to get their shop open. I said to him, dude, you make anything, I'll wear it. Like a t-shirt, a mug, a cock piece, I'll still wear it.
Yeah, but the thing is, a lot of these companies, they want you to make a logo, but then you got to pay for it, and it's a subscription service, and it's I got a lot of really great logos. I wanted to, it was gonna say Cobbs Corner. I found one that had I think a film reel and a C. It was an isometric view, and it was a C, and then it had a film reel, and then underneath I was gonna say a Cobbs Corner underneath TV, film, pop culture, but I got to pay $25 for that. So bunch of capitalists. Cobbs Corner official logo is coming soon. I do not have an exact date. For those listening, I don't have an exact date, but I do plan on finalizing our logo just as Lights Camera Rant and all my other podcasting buddies have done, and merch is coming At some point. I don't want to put an official date on it,
Yeah.
but
No, because as soon as you do that, someone holds it to it. It's that one fan that's like,
one
he
fan.
said it was going to camera, and then that's what, like, I'll come through this and I'll strangle you. But thank you for watching.
Okay, blocked.
Okay,
yeah. So,
dude, when you do all that, I'll be one of the very first people to buy your merch, and it'll be great to see your logo. It's fantastic to see how far you've come since we first started talking.
definitely.
Which I think I must have followed you on Instagram. I think it was. I can't remember how we started talking.
You followed me. Either I followed you or you followed me, and then you had a post on your Instagram story of like who would you want to see on
Lights,
Camera, Rant, and then I typed in myself.
He typed in himself. He's like, who would you like to see? Me,
yes. Yeah.
But no, I'm that was the whole point of that. I'm so glad that you did respond to that, and it's been great getting to know you, and as I said, doing the whole podcast swap.
Sure. I do, for those of you who are watching this live, I do currently have a question on my Instagram story. Who would you turn into when you say Shazam? Like any celebrity or athlete, whomever. So go and check that out on my Instagram if you're listening to this live.
I also just followed your Twitch. I didn't know I wasn't following it, but I am now.
Yeah, my Twitch, and then also I've got CNN every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Current Nerd News. It's a new segment.
Yes,
again,
I
logo
saw that.
in progress. Yes,
TBA.
Yeah. All right. Well, enough further ado. So, Shazam: Fury of the Gods. On Rotten Tomatoes now, and the tomato meter. I usually don't trust early critical scores before a movie has come in, before a movie has like officially hit theaters, but it's out now. Tomato meter 54%, and audience score 85%. On this case, I'm with the audience. I'd say about maybe not 85%, maybe like 75%. I'm like in the middle.
Yeah, I'm a little bit as well, and I was also with my friend last night, Mark from Mark My Words. We were also talking about, and I think we both kind of agreed it's about like out of 1 out of 10. We're both like 6, 6 or 7 for it. That's kind of like where we were sitting for it, but it's. I could say I didn't sit there at the end of the movie and go, "Wow, that was just that was fantastic."
Yeah. I think that we're seeing sort of like two separate, not timelines, but I guess two separate kind of like stories in the DCU, if you could say that, because given the mid-credit scene, and I'm going into spoilers, so if you have not seen Shazam: Fury of the Gods, turn off this episode right now. You have been warned. I said it at the beginning. I'm saying it again. Final warning. All right.
3, 2,
2, 1.
Oh my God, Aquaman.
Mid-credit scene. They had, terrible with character names. Well, minor character names. But the two characters from Peacemaker.
No, that's the end credit scene.
No, that's the mid-credit scene.
No, sorry. Yeah, that was mid. Yeah. I totally forgot about the weird caterpillar.
Right. Yeah. The mid-credit scene, like when they showed up to.
And something Hella Hawk.
Who knows? But yeah, then when she had mentioned to Billy Batson's like, hey, do you want to join the Justice? He's like, yes. Yeah.
Yes.
And then it's like, oh, so you gonna join the Justice Society? It's like, oh, so Wonder Woman's not on that team. It's like, oh, I'm going to the Justice Society. Why are there two different superhero teams and they both have the word justice in them, It's like, and then I had sort of like heckled the entire movie. I'm just like yelling at the screen. But
I
like
know.
I pointed out in the theater, I'm like, the Justice Society's older.
Well, that's right. The Justice
Hmm?
Society,
Hmm?
I think in the comics
Yep.
is like the really old is meant to be like the 60s and 50s Justice League, what they call themselves, which is the Justice Society,
Yeah.
to differentiate themselves.
Listen to my Black
Um,
Adam review.
I will do that.
Well, I was
But
talking to the listeners, but yeah.
um, I just like probably one of the things for this movie they did well is the comedy. I feel like the comedy landed
Mm.
probably about a good 80% of the time for this movie. And when it starts, I get pretty much straight into the action. I've not seen Shazam since the very first movie. So when they were looking for the staff, I'm like, what? I'm sure he had the staff at the end of it. Like, why is it?
Right. And then they revisited that. And it's funny because like
Yeah,
I
which is
just
good.
watched because like I just watched Shazam like last week. And I'm thinking it's like, oh right, he did.
Yeah, but I'm sure he
Right.
took it with him.
Okay. Yeah. I'm like, okay,
But
that's like one minor detail that like not a lot that I mean you kind of forgot about it, and I'm sure
yeah,
like a lot of us audience members like forgot that they broke the staff. It's like,
well,
oh okay, that like
they were there
one
too. So that's why I don't get it. They were there too. Why didn't you remember that he didn't take the staff?
true. Right, right.
Uh,
Oh. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
because the flashback is all there.
Yeah, the flashback.
Um, but I do like how they're all very much family, and
Mhm.
a big thing is they all kind of like had their own, all kind of like they had their own personality, all kind of like had their own slight journey, which I yeah, if, if you what you think as well. I did like how they shooting on. Oh well, kind of shooting on. Oh, one character's gay.
Yeah, because now I wasn't about to get kicked out of the theater or anything, but like,
I was like,
and
of course he is.
this
Of course
character
he is.
barely had any lines in the first movie. I'm just wondering, it's like, okay, so now we're gonna give like everybody more screen time and like character development. It's like, okay, so this one character's gay. I'm just like on the inside, I'm screaming, why? Like, woke Hollywood, stop force feeding it to
I,
us, okay? Like, come
I'm like,
on,
I'm like, of course you
why?
are.
No.
I
It's
know.
like even like I mean, I've still got mixed feelings about this Little Mermaid movie. Like I saw a trailer for that movie. I'm like,
Oh,
why though? Why are we doing
yeah,
this, Disney? I don't care
I
if you've been
know.
around for a century. Stop rebooting my childhood.
That's to ruin my
It's like,
childhood.
okay.
Look at the Peter Pan movie. Not to go off topic, but look at the Peter Pan.
Right.
Hook obviously is still white, but the little boys are, I think, African American women. Tink is not okay.
Oh yeah, yeah.
White,
Right.
and
Wendy
and
is
Peter
played by Ever Gabo Anderson. I'm on Google
and
now.
Peter Pan is of Indian descent, and like,
Oh, yeah, Alexander Monolly, Yara Shahidi. Yeah, she's half black,
yeah,
half Iranian. I want to say.
yeah. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I'm just like,
Jim Gaffigan is
why did
Swede.
you change all the characters except for the bad guy?
True, true. Yeah.
Funny about that, huh?
I mean, I know. Back in 2017, Trevor Noah he did this whole bit on how they will never let Idris Elba play James Bond. That'd be the hardest James Bond movie to make. You can't go to Russia or Scotland, Ireland. They'll see him a mile. They'll see him coming a mile away. It'll say "Wanted," the black guy.
Meh.
pretty much. I mean, but at the same time, it's like I don't have a problem with them going with Aaron Taylor Johnson over Idris Elba. It's like I
Yeah.
think if you're gonna do a live action reboot, okay, so the character was Caucasian in the original. It's like why not just go with that? And I think this is also the problem that we have. I mean, quick, I guess segue off of Shazam: Fury of the Gods. I feel like a lot of times with woke Hollywood and especially with companies like Disney that has a history of racism, that has a history of disenfranchisement, look at their old Disney from like the 1930s and 40s.
Yep.
Bro.
It's bad.
Whew.
I know.
Not just
And
against black people, okay? Like again, they butted heads with the Japanese during World War II.
Yeah.
Okay, Walt Disney himself was a Nazi. Okay, like a lot of people forget about that. A lot of people forget about that. Okay, okay. But I feel like Disney is just going out of their way to like to compensate for, like make up for their past, and I think that movies like Black Panther are the right way to do that. What's not okay is rebooting every like old movie, old IP that you've had, and like making a bunch of changes that weren't even in the original just for the sake of like, oh, diversity and inclusion or whatever other BS.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. When I first saw the trailer of Peter Pan, I'm like, yeah, I'm still going to just watch Hook. Yeah, I'm still going to watch the Rowan Williams Hook.
Like, yeah, yes, the legend.
The
legend.
But sorry, let's
all right, back to Shazam, please. Back to Shazam before we get before we both get demonetized.
Go too down that tangent.
Right.
Question, like this is what I asked a lot of people. Like I'd love to know what you know as well. With all the changes that are happening in the DCU at the moment, like were you excited for this movie, or were you like, well, if I go see this, nothing actually matters, does it?
You know, I don't know if you remember when we did the Fantasy Movie League. This was my very first pick.
It was.
And Khalil kept on giving me shit for it. I mean, I'm wondering how relevant is this film going to be after this like DCU reset that's coming with The Flash. There was even a trailer for The Flash when I saw the movie today.
Ooh,
I think I think that this movie is going. I think it was a good film. I think that, you know, we're going to look back on this film. It's not one of the best films. Definitely not in my top 5. Probably not even in my top 10 for films of 2023. I was not blown away the way that I was when I saw Creed 3 in the exact same theater. But I guess my official answer to your question, like, was I excited? My short answer, yes. Long answer, this movie stood on its own 2 feet. It was a fun movie, not really a parody film, but I think that with movies like I look at Shazam kind of the same way that I looked at like Spider-Man: Homecoming, and we see what is it like to be an average citizen in a world full of gods, essentially, and you know, especially with all of like the with all of the like merchandise, like the Batman dolls and like the Superman dolls, and it's I'm seeing kind of like the parody-ish elements in like the first Shazam, also in Spider-Man: Homecoming. So seeing those parallels, even in Black Adam, and I pointed this out in my Black Adam audio commentary. Go check that out. The superhero industrial complex. I'm like, yeah, that sounds like an actual like industry in the DCU and the MCU for that matter. Like the superhero industrial complex. Like, yeah, that sounds like a thing. I definitely think this movie was they tapped into more Greek mythology, which I liked. They tapped more into the lore of Shazam. Like, there's no such. Oh, go ahead.
I don't know. I was gonna say I really did. One of my favorite parts was that they did actually explain that Shazam is an acronym. I thought that was cool when they, you know, what Shazam meant and like how all their powers work. When he's like, "Oh, it's an acronym."
Yep. It's like Solomon, cool. Hercules, Atlas, Zeus, someone else, and Mercury. Mercury, who is actually the Roman equivalent to Hermes, the god of speed. And I was wondering, when they said wisdom of Solomon, I'm like, are they referring to like King Solomon from the Bible, like the actual person, King Solomon, who was arguably the wisest man to have ever lived? Like, I'm like, are they referring to him?
Look, unfortunately, I'm not going to dabble too much, but if you,
Of course.
a lot of religions or a lot of mythology seem to overlap each other.
True.
And like, between Greek, between Norse, and between Christianity, there's always overlaying people that seem like, oh, you're the same person. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, because even I pointed out how like Mercury is literally the Roman equivalent of Hermes, and I think Venus is the Roman equivalent of Aphrodite. Earth is the only planet not named after a Roman deity. Mars, Roman equivalent of Ares, the god of war. Jupiter, Roman equivalent of Zeus. Uranus, I'm not entirely sure. Notice I said Uranus, not Saturn is the Roman equivalent of Kronos, I think. And Neptune is Poseidon, Pluto's Hades.
Exactly right.
Good artist copy, great artist steal. Is what it is.
Because there was, and then remember, this movie was meant to come out last year, and it was meant to go up against.
Oh, really?
It was meant to come out last year. It was meant to go up against Avatar.
Oh, okay.
And they were meant, and they got moved. And then, if you even further back, this movie was meant to come out after The Flash, which the director did say. What someone else was like, why is their suits different compared to the first one? And he's like, well, originally we were meant to come out after The Flash, so it was going to be like something happened to the multiverse and the timeline. That's why they got different suits.
So I guess that answers my question of will this movie be relevant because of the DC reset. So I guess does this movie, if it chronologically takes place after The Flash, then that means that I'm gonna have to go see The Flash and then probably have to rewatch this movie when it shows up on HBO Max, I guess. I do my auto commentary.
The problem is I really don't know. So like James Gunn said that The Flash is meant to be this point where the whole DCU resets and everything, and that's what will kind of kick off his James Gunn era. But the thing is, Aquaman comes out after The Flash. Yeah. So if The Flash is meant to be this point of, before and after, The Flash is meant to come out after The Flash. Shazam was meant to come out of The Flash and then we'll get Aquaman. So, and I totally forget, we're still getting a Blue Beetle movie as well.
Right, I was going to say Blue Beetle as well. Like, you see, now that's why I had drafted Shazam Fury of the Gods, because I think we did the draft back in January when you guys interrupted my John Wick 3 watching, and for good cause. And I had pointed out how Shazam at that point was the only DC film for 2023 that we had actually gotten like a promotion for, or like a trailer for that. Like, we didn't get a trailer for The Flash until it was like either during the Super Bowl or like right before the Super Bowl. So it's
for the Super Bowl, because the Flash trailer at the Super Bowl was actually the second one. You know that, right? That was the second trailer for the Flash.
Right.
We've had the first trailer for the Flash for nearly a year now.
Really?
Yeah, maybe. But I don't know if you remember. It's not a very long trailer. There was
or was it one of those like teaser trailers?
I'd say it was a teaser. Okay. Anything like it did not show anything nearly the amount of what we saw. Like this was the first time we actually saw Michael Keaton as Batman.
Yeah.
But
right. Like, I had to say it along with him in the theaters. It's like, I'm Batman. Now you see that movie's old even for me. Like, the movie came out in 1989. I've seen it maybe like once or twice. I still don't think that Michael Keaton was the best Batman. I still put Christian Bale above him. I
think it can be two ways. It can be one, it's a generation thing. Right. You grow like for us, or for me, Tobey Maguire is my Spider-Man. Hugh Jackman is my Wolverine. Is my Wolverine. That's how it grows. I think with Michael Keaton, because Michael Keaton was the very first live action Batman in film,
True.
And because he did such a good job in the character at that first first swing, because you remember one, he was really good in 1 and 2, but then Val Kilmer was all right. George Clooney was all right.
Well, Val Kilmer, I couldn't get into because I think his portrayal of Bruce Wayne was kind of just bland and dry. It could just be Joel Schumacher. Like a lot of times, it's not the acting, it's the directing and the writing.
Yeah.
And I think George Clooney, he is Bruce Wayne, but I feel like he just dealt with a lot of really just bad jokes and like ice puns. And like I remember watching Batman and Robin on VHS tape when I was like 5.
Yeah, same.
And like, I mean, it was fun then when you're a kid, but it's like I'm watching it as an adult and I'm just watching the Terminator try to come up with an ice pun. Like,
too icy. Too icy. Yeah, sorry, man. Had to. But and that's the thing. That's where the Shazam is meant to pop out. I didn't notice this until I watched something last night and made a good point of it. And I'm now thinking of it. I'm like, actually, that's so. Obviously, Billy, when he turns into Shazam, he turns into Zachary, whatever. Did you find that their personalities didn't seem to be align? Like him as a kid, his personality didn't seem to align when he turned into Shazam. Like he seemed more kiddish.
Yeah, that is one thing that I noticed. I think that
like that doesn't seem like the same
maybe
kid.
Zachary Levi as Shazam, he was just more like, I don't know, charismatic and maybe just more of like, maybe that's just Zachary Levi's personality, but I feel like as like Billy Batson, as like Asher Angel, we didn't see hardly any. Now that I think about it, we saw more. I feel like Asher Angel got more screen time in the first Shazam than he did in the second one. And
he did. This is more a Zach movie.
Yeah. I mean, this was more of a Zach movie. I guess their personalities were different. I mean, now that I think about it, but like,
well, I was just looking back. I was like, yeah, I guess like it's not like it seems to be a bit far in between with like when he's a kid and when he's talking to everybody, like it's almost like you wouldn't think he'd go to that level of being so not obnoxious, but you know what I mean when he turns into Shazam. But no, it was good seeing all the returning characters. It looked like everyone returned back pretty much from the first one. But what did you think of the bad guys? Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu and I don't know the third chick's name.
Neither do I. Neither do I. But I feel like I've seen her somewhere before, and I'm wondering like, and it's funny because like
Athena.
Anitha.
Sorry, yeah.
Anitha. But I mean, Helen Mirren. I know her from the Fast and Furious movies. And I'm trying to think, has she been in anything else I've seen? Lucy Liu, I feel like I haven't seen her in forever because I know she was. I think
she went to television. I think she
probably because I know she did. Probably one of her earliest movies I can remember is the Charlie's Angels movies. I think I've seen like bits and pieces of like the original Charlie's Angels and Charlie's Angels Full Throttle. I heard that the Elizabeth Banks,
it was terrible,
who recently directed Cocaine Bear. I heard that the Charlie's Angels remake with Kristen Stewart in them was awful. Again, not everything needs to be redone 15 times. But yeah, I'm wondering like,
no, and apparently she Elizabeth Banks blamed the fact that the reason why the movie bombed so bad was because apparently men don't want to see women in action movies. I'm like,
you're pounding something.
I'm like, I think that's a really poor excuse. I'm like, well,
honestly,
Wonder Woman, Hunger Games,
Wonder Woman, Atomic Blonde, Birds of Prey.
Black
I liked it. Okay, I didn't see it in theaters. It came out right before the pandemic.
Black Widow. There's so
kind of Black Panther, Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, I'm like, that's a poor excuse, but yeah, I'm like, no, you made a shit movie, just deal with it. Like, just get over it. You made a shit,
pretty much.
And But no, like there wasn't really a whole lot of backstory I found with the villains either. Like it was really
Yeah.
tidbits along through. You didn't really get much.
I guess the connection is that they're the daughters of Atlas, and Atlas, who I realize is a Titan and not a Roman god. I realize Atlas, like he has in Greek mythology, he was
He's the
like,
one holding up the world.
yeah, he's the one like holding up the world. Like, yeah, Atlas. So I guess they're
That's
being the
why
daughters
Atlas
of.
is. That's why
Yeah.
you buy Atlas. That's what it's called, the Atlas.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
You say so. But yeah, them being like the daughters of Atlas, I've also heard that the daughters of Atlas are not even in the comics, so they had more directorial like freedom just diving into like Greek mythology
Hmm.
well, I guess with both Marvel and DC, they've both dabbled in a bit of Greek mythology recently with a movie that shall not be named, Russell Crowe. But
That's Norse mythology.
no, 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 no. I mean like Zeus in
Oh
Thor:
yes.
Love
Oh
and
yes.
Thunder.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Thor is
yeah,
Norse. Zeus
yeah,
is
yeah. I mean, like with like Thor, Love and Thunder. It's like I think the MCU is kind of they really hit their stride with Norse mythology, and then the DCU brought Greek mythology into the fold with Wonder Woman, and then continue with that. I really think that
Wonder Woman's
now
good.
I'm wondering is that neutral territory though? Like with like with mythologies, like
It
is that
is.
neutral?
It's
Like
yeah. It's one of those things that you can pick up and make a comic tomorrow, man. About
true,
about
true.
oh there's
True, I guess, but should
there's
you?
no legal binding. But if you drew it
Mm.
like Thor, uh, in the MCU, then there is.
Yeah, but then I'm
Yeah.
also wondering, it's like they can technically both legally have a Zeus in the MCU and the DCU,
Yes.
but it's like maybe we should just go with the Zeus in the DCU and then just get rid of the Zeus in Thor: Love and Thunder, maybe like
Maybe.
because
Maybe.
because I feel like with I feel like with the Greek mythology in the DCU, it just works. It has worked better. And plus, with MCU, they're now getting into Egyptology with Moon Knight, and
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised that none of the deities, if you actually like read the subtitles in Black Adam, his acronym Shazam, like they use all Egyptian deities, and same acronym Shazam, but just completely different deities. None of those deities were referenced in Moon Knight, even though they were all, to my understanding, Egyptian or Middle Eastern gods and goddesses.
It can be.
So
Yeah. That's
there's
right.
like that
He
other,
didn't.
you know.
Yeah, they didn't mention it at all, which is yeah. I think it's one of those thin white lines of which characters you can use depending on which way. So you know, but I do like how in this movie they never addressed the empty chair again because of Black Adam. They never mentioned because right at the end of Shazam 1, there was like, oh, there's an empty chair. I wonder who that's for. They never mentioned it again.
Empty chair
Remember the
at
chairs they
the
sit on?
council
Yeah.
of
So there's all
wizards.
yeah. No, you
Okay.
know, with the main chairs they sit on.
Oh, in like the Rock of Eternity and
Yeah, in the Rocket Attorney. Yeah, in the first one,
okay.
there's an empty chair, and it's like, oh, who's that for? Which was meant to allude to being Black Adam,
Hmm.
but obviously, no,
Yeah.
because Black Adam Rock was invited to be the villain for this movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was actually wondering, and I'm still curious what the future of the character of Black Adam, regardless of whether or not like they
not
bring
with the
back The
Rock.
Rock. Well, yeah, I was gonna say like get somebody else in the role because I feel like now The Rock, he no disrespect to The Rock, he is an amazing actor. I think a lot of again he usually gets typecast as well, but movies that he's done everything from more recently with Jumanji, Red Notice, the Fast and Furious movies, even going all the way back to like Gridiron Gang, The Game Plan. He's a very accomplished actor. He deserves all of his accolades. And I get that Black Adam was a dream role for him, but I personally don't think that he should continue in this role. Like Black Adam, the character, is a very interesting character because in the comics, he's introduced as a villain to Shazam. Like he's introduced like as a villain to Shazam. So the fact that they went with the more recent interpretation of him as an anti-hero and sort of introducing him as an anti-hero in the DCU and not going with his like original comic book origins as the villain, and the fact that they've like decided to use the recent
interpretation,
it's like I'd like to see them go forward with Black Adam and maybe even have him butt heads with Shazam, with Superman. Like I talked about in my non-spoiler review of Black Adam, like we see through, I guess, the Snyderverse, quote unquote. We saw with Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, and then Zack Snyder's Justice League. They were able, like Zack Snyder was able to do what John Watts did with the home trilogy, Spider-Man Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home. It's like you have this character, for the MCU, it's Spider-Man, Peter Parker. For the DCU, you've got Superman, Kal-El, Clark Kent. Throughout those three films, each character kind of has to wrestle with, who am I? What is my purpose in the grand scheme of this universe? It's like, in the case of Superman, it's like he realizes that he's some alien being who was raised primarily on Earth. He doesn't remember his home planet of Krypton. And, he's got all these abilities. He's pretty much got the ability to I mean, we see in Batman v Superman, he's got the ability to kind of insert himself into any foreign conflict and literally end it, pick a side, and he can end all wars. Like he can literally overthrow every government. The world can start over. He can put himself on top. He recognizes that he recognizes that he has that ability, but he doesn't want to exercise it. He just wants to be a productive member of society. He wants to contribute to the world and, protect humanity and use his powers only when absolutely necessary. He has that moral compass. Black Adam does not. It's my way or the highway. So
literally. But yeah, the thing is that Black Adam was meant to be the villain for this, and The Rock was invited, but the Rock declined because he wanted to do his own movie. He didn't want to be introduced in an existing movie. He wanted to do his own movie. And then it got up to the point he didn't want to verse Shazam. He wanted to verse Superman.
Oh, right. And then that explains the post-credits scene.
Yeah. As you know, I got a bigger stick than you. Who's the biggest stick? Who's the biggest stick around here?
Person. Yeah.
And so I'm going to verse Superman.
Yeah, because it's funny you brought that up because I actually saw there was an article on, I think, Screen Rant where they pointed out how The Rock finally broke his silence on the whole firing of Henry Cavill. And he said how it's like when you're on a football team and you have a captain and a quarterback and they're winning championships. And then all of a sudden a new coach comes in and they say, we want to move forward with a different quarterback and a different team captain. You're both fired. So that's why, even after the post-credit scene with Superman, and then it's like after that movie came out and I saw it opening weekend. So at the time that I saw the movie, the announcement hadn't been made. I think the movie came out October 21st. Yeah. I think I want to say I saw it Saturday, the 22nd.
The movie
came out.
Yeah, the movie was out for a little bit before Henry Cavill came forward and said everything.
Right.
I think the hard thing is, obviously we know The Rock, pushed for all this and did all this and threw his weight around. I think the hard thing is if James Gunn was there at the start, there really wouldn't be this much shuffling around. Because think about it, he's come in. This is hanging on to a thread. Half the shit's broken. Someone's trying to steer it. I need you to fix it. So obviously you're going to try and get rid of all the broken parts, the friction to streamline everything.
True.
Not saying The Rock was a broken part, but I'm like, him to being moving forward, he would still be in the old DC. So we've still had a change, but then The Rock would have wanted, I want the sequel now. I want to start making it. And like, look, you don't fit. You've got to wait. And then James Gunn's got to reboot everything. And like, as we've seen in James Gunn's announcement, which I do like, is that we're getting a Supergirl movie, which is new. We're also getting a couple other movies and TV shows that haven't been done before. So they're all fresh. We're getting a new Batman movie with his son that hasn't been done before.
Damian Wayne.
Yep. And we're getting a new Superman movie where Superman's already well established. I think
Superman Legacy.
Yeah, I think it's Superman. It's meant to be basically Superman Year One.
Oh, okay.
I think it's meant to be.
Kind of like Batman Begins.
Yeah, essentially, yes. So everyone knows who Superman is. He's been around. We know his origin. This is him still struggling to be the icon that he is. Like instead of Man of Steel, where you saw the progression, it's already well established. So that's the problem. And I know James Gunn has said that everyone who's existing right now does have a welcome card back if you want to continuing on. But there's almost a part of me that's like, I don't want any of you to continue on. I want to see this all be fresh. I want to see all new interpretations, you know. And Isla Miller is not coming back. There is no way he is getting hired again. And if he does, shit, the man's effed up in the head.
Yeah. Or they, I should say.
They, yes, they.
I made that mistake on an earlier episode. As I was re-listening to it, I'm like, oh, right. I refer to them as he. But yes, to be PC, they have definitely had some issues.
It will not be hired.
Man, you're really about to get me canceled. But yeah, no, they will not be working with the DCU going forward, hopefully. So yeah, I think that DC, they've got a bright future. They just got to get these like studio politics. Like they really just gotta like figure shit out. I mean, I also feel like we kind of saw it early on in the MCU with now not at this grand of a scale, but I talked with Khalil about the first Universal film. I was recently on the Comic Boys podcast. We talked about how in The Incredible Hulk, which Universal Studios technically still holds the rights to, and they had put, I think it was Universal Studios had, either Universal Studios or Marvel Studios, they had plopped Edward Norton in the film as Bruce Banner. But yeah, I think Louis Leterrier, he really wanted to use Mark Ruffalo to begin with, but then Marvel Studios, like they demanded that Edward Norton play the role, and then Edward Norton tried to overreach his boundaries as actor. He put out his own scripts, like even I think at 2000, at the 2008 Comic-Con, either 2007 or 2008 Comic-Con, there was promotions for Iron Man. There was like zero promotion for The Incredible Hulk because of everything that was going on behind the scenes. And I found that movies where the studio can't get their shit together and like the co-stars can't just like get along, the movies come out bad. Like we saw it with The Incredible Hulk. We saw it with even going back to Blade Trinity. Like, it's like when y'all can't just like
it becomes painful. And the thing is, the Incredible Hulk, like it's not a bad movie. It's a good movie. But yes, Edward Norton did well, as in you actually get to see an Incredible Hulk.
Okay, yeah, it's the best portrayal of the Hulk that we've gotten. But as a film, you would have to strap me into a chair and like forcibly hold my eyes open. Okay, and you'd have to put me in a straitjacket and like forcibly keep my eyes open for me to actually sit through that movie again. Start to finish.
All right. I know what you mean. But yeah, Edward Norton apparently, he got too creative for that movie, so he got let go, and it worked out better because Mark Ruffalo killed the role. And
killed
even
it.
If you go forward, talking still about studio politics, you wind the clocks forward. Robert Downey Jr. was almost not in Civil War.
Oh,
No, sorry.
this is news to me.
No, so there was 2 scripts made up. Actually, I think there was actually 3 scripts made up. There was a script that with the movie we got. Then there was a script if Sony wasn't going to play with Spider-Man, and there was a script if Robert Downey Jr. was going to appear, because Robert Downey Jr. wanted him to be Kevin Feige wanted him to appear in the movie. Obviously, Robert Downey Jr. wants the money, and apparently, Kevin Feige wasn't president of Marvel Studios at the time, I don't think. He clashed with the president at the time, or I think it was Disney. It was one of them. Higher up was clashing, saying, no, we're not having Robert Downey Jr. He costs too much, blah, blah, blah. So Kevin Feige went straight to the CAO, I think Bob, I can't remember his last name, Bob went straight to him and said, look, this is what's happening. Boom, Robert Downey Jr. got in. The other guy got fired. That's how Kevin Feige became president of Marvel Studios.
Was he not always president?
No, he wasn't always president.
Really?
Yeah. Oh. He was like producer, like leading producer and everything, but he was never fully president. But yeah, if you type in Robert Downey Jr. not in Civil War, Kevin Feige, you'll see the whole article about how there was a bit of a clash. And then, as I said, it was the 3rd script if Sony wasn't going to play.
Right, because I know also with Spider-Man, and I saw the trailer for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I'm definitely seeing that in theaters June 2nd, I think. Yes. Yeah. Into the Spider-Verse. I still consider Into the Spider-Verse the best theatrical release. The best theatrical Spider-Man.
It is. It's the highest rated.
Yeah. Highest rated, only one to win an Oscar.
It's the highest rated, and second being Spider-Man No Way Home.
Okay. I'd maybe put No Way. I'd put No Way Home like on par with Spider-Man 2. Maybe. I don't know. Nostalgia. Or maybe No Way Home is so great because of Spider-Man 2. Maybe I just have that nostalgia for it. Like,
all right, yeah. I'll give you that. But yeah, and that shows what happens when studios, and then that's what we get. But
yeah, and then I remember the 2019 like there was the whole back and forth after Spider-Man Far From Home, where for a while we didn't know if we were going to get Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah, which Tom Holland said he called Kevin Feige straight away and was like, please do whatever you can. Apparently he was semi-drunk. He was like, wow. He was like, I don't want to do this. And like, we almost didn't get No Way Home because of this.
Because I think because I think the agreement that Sony signed with, I guess, what was Marvel Entertainment Group at the time, back in like the year 2000 or 2001, was that Sony has to release at least one Spider-Man movie every 5 years in order to maintain the rights. That's why we got The Amazing Spider-Man in 2012, because it had been 5 years since Spider-Man 3. They said, we need to maintain the rights. We need to put out this Andrew Garfield, who I really think was too old for the role.
Which originally was meant to be Spider-Man 4.
Oh,
we were meant to get Spider-Man.
We were supposed to get a Spider-Man. They announced it. Oh, wow.
They fully announced it. They said it on their slate and everything. Actually, I do have a whole episode called Spider-Man: The Missing Sequels that will explains you all in depth about the entire history, about all the missing sequels on Spider-Man. There's actually probably about 5 to 6 films.
Check out that episode, folks.
That we never got, including a Gwen movie, including a Sinister Six movie, including Amazing Spider-Man 3, including Spider-Man 4. Like, there was so many sequels that were left on the table that was meant to happen, but because here we are. But Shazam, going back to Shazam, some of the Cohen points, Cohen, I did like. I did like the little tidbit right at the end where he's like, "Oh, the Avengers Society." I was like, "Oh!"
I yelled at the screen. Lazy writing.
Yeah. But
that was my Deadpool moment for the night.
I did get to the point where at the end of the movie, I'm like, some bits hit, some didn't. But in the whole grand scale of like all the DCEU films, if I was ranking it, it's probably down there with Shazam 1. Like I'd probably go back and watch Man of Steel. I'd go watch Batman v Superman. I'd watch the 4-hour Justice League movie. I'd go watch Aquaman, Wonder Woman, the second Suicide Squad movie. Like that's just showing.
Yep.
That's kind of like how far I put this in a pecking order of I'd go back and watch this.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, I was actually. I've recently. It's funny, like in preparation for, because I know we're about to like do a whole reset of the DCU, so I'm actually going to go and like refresh my mind, because I realize the DCEU has been around for 10 years now, and I have to go back and like rewatch all of the DCEU films and the Peacemaker season 1.
Oh, dude, you're going to love Peacemaker. You're going to love Peacemaker.
I might do audio commentary for them. Who knows? But maybe I might just watch it on my own, like just binge watch like Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and like just go. You know, I mean, I've done the same thing for Marvel. You know, but you know, first 10 years of the DCU, and we're about to get like a whole
fresh slate.
Yeah. I personally think. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and the what's his name? Zack Snyder just posted that his Zack Snyder trilogy is going to be going in IMAX at the end of April.
Oh,
did you see that?
Like reshooting it in IMAX?
No, it's going. They're doing a theatrical release in IMAX. All 3 films.
Oh, doing like a theatrical release?
Yeah.
Okay,
so
cool.
You can go watch them. You can go watch them in IMAX. So yeah.
That will definitely be exciting.
Yeah, I don't know what all I know is that that's what to me happened. There's still very little details. Like I don't know why he's doing this,
right?
Or what's alluring to.
True, but yeah, I might be just going and rewatching all the movies. I personally think still that 2016 was the worst year for the DCEU. When you compare like both Marvel and DC, they both put out 2 films that year. For Marvel, it was Captain America, Civil War, and Doctor Strange. For DC, it was Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, and
Suicide Squad?
Suicide Squad, yes.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, Suicide Squad, it's a movie that I've heard that there's like an Avery cut. There's a director's cut. Either it's coming or it's already out. And I feel like that's the case with a ton of DC films. It's like it's not good off the bat, but then you find out that there's an extended version, and I'm just like,
yes, there's
why can't you make it good the first time though?
Yeah, interference. If you have your 2 minutes, go and watch the first trailer of Suicide Squad that got released to the last trailer, and it's almost 2 completely different films.
Oh, right.
Because
I've heard that there's like 45 minutes of like extra footage.
Yeah,
there was some scene. There was some scene where like Joker's robbing a bank or something, I think.
Yeah. There's some of that, and there's different bits in the trailer that we never got to see. Apparently, there's a shit ton of leftover Joker from Jared Leto, but I highly doubt we're gonna see that director's cut ever.
Yeah, I mean,
because it's not like Justice League.
It's been 7 years.
Yeah,
it's been 7 years, and I think like also the fact that 5 years later we got The Suicide Squad, which was a sequel because it did include Captain Boomerang and Harley Quinn. I think the one thing that would make me go and rewatch the first Suicide Squad is Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. I think I really fell in love with the character after Birds of Prey. I think she's the DCEU's Deadpool, not Shazam. Like you got to watch Birds of Prey. And you've got to realize that you read the comics. Like you read the comics, watch Birds of Prey. She is the DCEU's Deadpool.
Yes, and I did see. I think I saw this morning that apparently James Gunn confirmed that he will be working with Margot Robbie again. And if everyone that's in the DCU, I probably Margot Robbie would probably be my top pick to keep as Harley Quinn.
Please,
moving forward,
James Gunn, Peter Safran,
if you're listening. As always, you hear that, Mr. Gunn? We're giving you some tips. We're giving you tips right here how to fix a pile of trash.
Not a complete pile of trash, okay? But
no. But it has like there's some stuff you gotta buff out.
Needle and haystack.
Yeah. But like, are you like? Do you want to see like if they told you they're not making a Shazam 3, would you be fine with that, or would you want them to make it if there was Shazam?
Um,
To me, I'm like,
after this one,
nah.
I wouldn't be devastated if they decided not to do a third Shazam, as long as this isn't the last time that we see these characters, because I think even with like Marvel, trying to think like, are there any characters who maybe haven't gotten like three movies? Because I think even like with Marvel, it's like they gave Thor, like Thor broke that rule of like three solo films and
Yeah,
then like a couple team up
because
films and then they go away, and then like Thor broke that rule that he I guess broke that tradition. They gave him a fourth movie and then it just didn't like
yeah,
hit
I
as like
out of everyone, it could only really work with Thor because he's a god. Like
yeah,
really,
but
really, no one else. Like everyone, like Cap got a good ending.
yeah,
Ant-Man got a good ending. Iron Man got a good ending. Like they didn't need to be a fourth film because Thor is a god and he technically lives forever without something supernatural out there to kill him. He
true,
was the only
true.
one who really would have got that fourth film.
Yeah,
And Hawkeye got his TV show.
yeah, right, and then Hawkeye got a TV show, but like Iron Man and Captain America, like they got their three movies, but even after Iron Man 3, after Captain America Civil War, that wasn't the
Oh
last
yeah,
that we saw of those characters. Like, so I'm thinking like maybe we don't need a Shazam 3 as long as we
oh he
have
pops up.
Shazam, as long as he pops up in like future films. It's like not every character needs 15 solo films and then they only show up in like two team up films. I mean, let's not forget
Yeah,
the Incredible Hulk got one film.
one. Yeah, well because of legal
Well,
issues.
for legal reasons,
Uh,
but like
did you
still, I think.
did you think I felt like the Wonder Woman cameo was such shoehorned. Like, oh, there's no more gods. Oh well, lucky I'm here.
Right,
I'm
right.
like, of course you are. I did miss hearing that theme, that her Wonder Woman theme.
Oh, right.
Like they
Right, yeah,
fucking
the Wonder Woman
they
theme, like
nailed
she's
that.
got one of the best themes. Like, dare I say that the Wonder Woman theme is like the Avengers theme of the
It's kind
DCEU?
yeah, it's kind of on that level because I can't tell you.
I mean, the Black Adam theme goes
Uh,
hard too, but
oh yeah, true, yeah. But like to me, like you hear that, you're like Wonder Woman, or
yes, like
even Man of Steel's flight song, you're like Man of Steel. But
I feel like
yeah,
I've
I
seen that
just
movie
like
one time.
it's oh, you gotta watch it again. But yeah,
Yeah, well, I'm gonna
when
watch it again.
when she popped up, I was like, of course you are. Yeah, no. But no, it was good seeing her back,
Yeah.
especially after her dismal display in Wonder Woman 2.
Wonder Woman 2, now, I watched that movie. It was Christmas 2020. Movie theaters were still closed here in the United States. We watched it Christmas night. It was that evening on Christmas, the day it showed up on HBO Max. It was in theaters and on HBO Max for 30 days. I only watched it that one time. I think I give that movie about a 6 out of 10. The first one gets a solid 9.5 out of 10. The second one, I love seeing Pedro Pascal on the big screen. I'm a huge Pedro Pascal fan. It was interesting to see him play the villain. I always love like when they have, and this is why I'm not a fan of typecasting. Um, when you have one actor who usually plays like a protagonist and then they play the antagonist, or they have like one role that's kind of like recurring and then they do something
Mm.
that's completely different, sometimes it
Yeah,
works, sometimes it doesn't. I think
yeah.
Pedro Pascal showed up and did his thing for this movie. The problem I had
Mm.
was the pacing and the fact that Chris Pine, just his character just shows up in the film for some reason, and they didn't do the best job of explaining how the whole wish thing worked with like the stone magic. So overall, I liked it. I would watch it again.
Oh,
I
that's more than
probably
me.
I'd probably put it on in the background and like do the dishes and
I
It's one of those movies for me.
Oh, so what are you trying to say? Is it because it's because this is a woman movie that you'd automatically go do the dishes? Are you doing a correct correlation between this? Oh, here it is.
Okay, now to anybody who is listening to this episode and who has actually hopped on the alt left woke rant that Lee just went on, I will have you know, okay. All right. Here we go. I will have you know that I put Wonder Woman 1984 in that category. I also put Mortal Kombat Annihilation and Iron Man 2 in that category as well. Like those are movies that I would just put on, like if I know I'm gonna be if I know that I'm going to be like, whether from folding laundry or I'm just like gonna be in like the kitchen for like a long time, I'll just like keep that on in the background. And or even like here in the United States, there's a channel, MTV Classics, where they just show a bunch of like old music videos. Like, yeah, I'll just put on MTV Classics while I'm like doing the dishes and like making lunch for the next day. And like, so yeah, I put Wonder Woman 1984 in that same category.
Yeah, same category. Right. I'd rather go back and watch the first one. I'd rather go back and watch the first one again before I go watch.
Well, yeah, I actually watched the first one the other day.
Yeah. So, yeah. The first one was so good. After Batman v Superman, and you got Wonder Woman, that was like, this just shits all over that.
Yeah, it's like I really needed to like cleanse my palate after not just Batman v Superman, but Suicide Squad. Yeah, Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad in the same year. Because I think I was headed to an engineering conference in Niagara Falls, and I think on the way up, we watched Batman v Superman. I'm like, what am I watching? Like, I like half watched it.
Don't worry,
Jesse Eisenberg and
yeah, Jesse Eisenberg is the worst part of that movie. Is Lex Luthor. I'm like, no.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, you know, you're not at all. I just wish they just went with Bryan Cranston. He would have nailed it.
Oh, as Lex Luthor?
Yeah,
sure.
He would have nailed it.
Nailed it.
Yeah. But I was gonna say, yeah, Shazam. If you're looking for something like a good laugh, with a family flick, I'd say yes. But beyond that, there's not much substance to it. Like, I'm more excited for the Flash movie because I'm kidding. But
right. I mean, initially I was excited for Shazam only because it was the first. Because going into the new year, it was the only movie that we had gotten promotion for. We still haven't gotten any promotions or anything for Blue Beetle or Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. And we hadn't gotten promotion for The Flash yet. And I just heard all the stuff that was going on behind the scenes. I was thinking like The Flash is going to tank at the box office. So Shazam was the only movie going into 2023 that I was optimistic for. After seeing it, I liked it. But I was not blown away the same way that I was 2 weeks ago when I saw Creed 3. So yeah, it was.
I know. I don't think Shazam 2 will also get the box office numbers either.
It won't.
Right now on a budget 125 million. Box office return currently right now as we're recording is 11 million.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So
well, I think if it doesn't at least break even, it's probably not getting a sequel, I think. Because these studios, they run a pretty tight ship.
Yeah, I know. It's
wouldn't be surprised if it, like you asked if we would get, if you think that there'll be a Shazam 3, maybe we will get a Shazam 3, maybe we won't, but at the same time, it's not the end of the world because there's a whole like retcon is going to happen. They're going to retcon the whole thing going forward. So I'm hoping that this is not the last that we see of Shazam, but we don't necessarily need a third Shazam movie. We don't necessarily need a third Shazam movie.
If he pops around, yeah, but not not a movie. I don't think the reception has warranted that people want a third one. But I think, to the credit to the movie, I think a big thing is the fact that we know everything's getting reset, so it kind of folds into that fodder of like nothing of this matters.
Yeah,
like they're about to do the whole reboot thing, and it's going to go. Look, man, I've it's been a pleasure being with. It's a pleasure talking to you all about this.
of course, of course.
And happy being on a guest, but I'm going to have to
Right. Yep.
just have a little bit because we've been going for nearly 2 hours now.
Right. Yeah. But I know because like my episodes with like Khalil, we've talked for like over 2 hours, and it's like I'm wondering like when do I wrap this up, kind of thing. It's like,
No, if it's a great chat, you keep going.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a great try to keep going. But I figured, we'd only do like maybe an hour and a half. We're approaching an hour and 45 minutes. So I guess we'll just kind of tie this up, put a bow on it. Guys, check out Shazam! Fury of the Gods in theaters. Oh, right. I forgot. I warned you that this was a spoiler review. So yeah. Well, guys, let me know what you guys thought of Shazam! Theory of the Gods. Let me know in the comments down below. Hit us up on Instagram or TikTok at Cobbs Corner Podcast. Instagram, Cobbs_Corner_podcast. TikTok, Cobbs Corner Podcast, all lowercase. Before you leave, Lee, I just wanted to turn the floor over to you. Let the people know what you got coming up.
My episodes come out every Tuesday. We go live every Sunday. And next episode I'll be doing, obviously talking about Scream 6. We're going to be talking about Shazam. And we're going to be talking about The Mandalorian. And obviously next week we're going to be talking about John Wick, which I'm really excited for. But for everyone listening, you guys got to stick with Cobbs. He's doing a fantastic job. This man is pumping out the content. It's great quality. And, man, you're going to hit sky's the limit for you. Honestly. Just keep at it.
Thank you very much, Lee. Thank you very much.
Always.
Yep. And you guys definitely go check out Lee. Check out his. Try and tune in live if you can. Check out Lights Camera Rant. It's a really great podcast. He does a lot of great work. He talks about. He doesn't just talk about like TV and film. He also talks about video games. So for all you gamers, I know we're streaming on Twitch right now. All you gamers, go check out Lights Camera Rant as well. Yeah, I mean,
thanks, man. Thanks.
You are absolutely welcome. You guys definitely subscribe to Lights Camera Rant. Subscribe to Cobbs Corner on all. Do you listen to
Cobbs Corner first?
Yes. Subscribe to Cobbs Corner. We're on YouTube. We're on all streaming platforms. Click that bell. Turn on your post notifications because I do my best to post every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you definitely don't want to miss out. Tune into Current Nerd News every Thursday night, 7 p.m. right here on Twitch. The episode should be uploaded the following Friday at 10 a.m. So tune into CNN Thursday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. New episodes every Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Lee, I hope that you
do it.
Oh, go ahead.
I was say do it. And man, I can't wait to have you back on my show, and I can't wait until next time we get to do this. Thank you so much for the invite. Hopefully we'll tee up something for the Flash or Aquaman or Blue Beetle. I keep forgetting about Blue Beetle.
Yeah. Hopefully, it's been a pleasure having you here at Cobbs Corner. I hope you enjoyed your stay. I hope that you all enjoyed your stay here at Cobbs Corner. I will talk to all of you in the next episode. Peace.
See you guys.
See ya.